Hey guys, Brian here from LCS. Thanks for stopping by the channel and this video, which is going to be something a little bit different tonight. One of my favorite all-time quotes is from Mike Tyson. And the quote is, "Everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth." And I just really think that's great, right? Because when you think about it, right, when things are normal, things are moving along normally, everything's fine, right? But you hit that little bump in the road, and then man, you can just go out of control. And I'm a project manager by profession, so I'm big on having a plan for a lot of things in my life. And so, how does this, relate to and tie into collecting? Well, when you collect things, I think you need to have a plan too. You would never expect somebody building a home to build a home without a blueprint, right? A written plan and drawings with exact measurements. So I'm not going to tell you that you need a written plan to collect comic books, but we've all watched videos where YouTubers share their top spec books or books they're always looking to pick up in the wild because they think they're going to have future value. So these videos have some thought or planning or research that goes into them. So you may not think that you're planning, but you actually are doing some planning. And I get a little worried when I watch videos and I see a huge wall of collectibles behind someone, slabs and figures, and I start to get focused on those things in the background and wonder, how do they pay for all of this stuff? And I understand social media and background things, in videos is generally we're showing our best self. Social media in general is a highlight reel. The great meal we just had, the big steak, or the luxurious vacation we're on, that with the white sand and the blue water, or maybe it's even the high dollar slab unboxing or figure unboxing. So I know that they're really just moments in time, and they don't really paint the full picture of somebody's personal situation, financial situation. And I get thinking, did somebody rack up $4,000 in credit card debt, to go on that great vacation, right? Who knows? I don't. You don't have the full picture, but it gets me thinking, and it's part of the planner in me that wanted to kind of make this video, right? Because life has a way of punching you in the mouth every so often. Um, it's full of unexpected things. Have you ever heard of Murphy's Law, right? You don't want Murphy coming knocking on your door, without a plan. And I think you think about the last 2 years with the pandemic. Who would have ever seen that coming, and the changes that we've gone through? Job loss, social distancing, a lot of people working from home. So really unpredictable things that went on in the last 2 years. So if you weren't a planner before or didn't, have, goals, I think maybe these last couple years have kind of, may have you rethinking that. Um, but, some people may not, but I'd like to mention it. There are some things that you can do to build a plan around, around your, financial life, your collecting life. And I'm not here to be a dream killer, right? I'm not here to tell you, what to do or how to collect. Um, but I don't want people running around with, FOMO and, every time that they walk into an LCS, like feeling they have to buy, everything, or, let impulse buying, rule your life, right? We all have those kind of weak moments where we see the shiny new thing and we like, oh, I gotta have it. But how does it impact everything else, in your life, right? So, I want people to be prepared for the unexpected events because they're going to occur, right? Um, things happen all the time. Life happens, right? So, You need to have some type of plan. And I suggest building a plan, for your collecting too, right? At least set some boundaries, whether it's a dollar amount that you plan to spend each month, that you kind of work into your overall budget, or maybe it's, weekly, right? Everybody, a lot of us on YouTube and comic book collectors, go to the new comic book day is a big day for us, that Wednesday of the week, and we're spending money, and every week we're spending money. So you have to have a plan for that. You have to make sure that you're working it into your overall, financial plan, so you don't get cut short, right? Um, for other things that are, priorities within your life, right? And maybe another suggestion could be that set a certain amount of items that you look to purchase per month. Maybe it's 10 items or 12 items. Certainly, if you're collecting things like pop figures or other statues, maybe there's a certain number that you could put on it to help build a plan or a goal around your collecting. And one of the best things that you can do to insulate yourself from unexpected events is to have some cash, right? Some cash savings put aside, so that when the unexpected thing pops up, you're prepared for it. You have some money set aside that you can throw at the problem, and maybe reduce some stress in your life, and not have to worry about cutting back in maybe the collecting that you're doing. And you can start small. It could be $500, it could be $1,000, but though that amount of money will insulate you from most little things. An appliance blowing up in the house, a flat tire, things like that. A trip to the emergency room, something like that, right? But I would suggest having at least 3 to 6 months of expenses stashed away in a savings account that doesn't have a debit card tied to it, right? And so, why would you not want to have a debit card? If you need that money, you want to make it just a little bit, painful to get that money. So maybe you have to go to a bank or transfer it to a different account, and not have it directly tied to a debit card. And my thinking is that will help prevent you from impulse buying. There's a sale at my LCS, so I got to have all these books. Not having access to that emergency money, that savings, at a card, having a card in your pocket that's tied to it may help prevent you from impulse buying yourself into whittling away that money, right? So this is one of the basic principles of good money management. And it's called an emergency fund, right? So it's an emergency fund that you have on hand. So when life hands you a big pile of shit, you've got a really nice cash shovel to dig your way out of it. And on over the last couple years, some personal finance experts have suggested that maybe you bump that savings up to maybe 9 to 12 months, because of things that have gone on recently, and we've seen people be out of work for an extended period of time. And when you think about that emergency fund, it should really be the minimum you need to survive. So it's covering rent, it's food, it's electric, it's the necessities that you need. It's not all the other extra things like subscription services to Netflix or comic books. It's really bare bones. So people think of, say, oh, I have to save 9 to 12 months of expenses in a savings account and just let it sit there. Well, like I said, it doesn't need to be all of your expenses. It's really just what do you need to survive, right? And it's there for a reason. It helps insulate you from bad things that can happen. And so I have no way of knowing everybody's personal money situation. But I've seen thousands of dollars in cases hanging on the wall behind people in videos on YouTube. So as the planner in me, that really gets me worried. Just I thinking, like, do they have a plan, right? If things went sideways for them, would they have to start selling stuff off that back wall, or could they survive it? So that's my fear, and that's why I think about these things. And so, we use money our entire lives. So why not increase your knowledge on the topic? I mean, most schools, elementary, middle, high school, college, don't teach basic, money management. And so, unless you're coming from a family whose parents had had the education or were self-educated and passed it down to you, it's more than likely that you don't have some good financial principles, money management skills. So and there's a ton of great resources, a ton of great videos here just on YouTube on how to manage money. So I would suggest that you check those out. And there's really no one size fits all plan. We all have very different personal situations, and you really have to build a plan that's going to work, best for you. And you can really do that by educating yourself, learning some of these basic principles of money management, emergency fund, avoiding debt, the debt snowball. There's a bunch of different techniques, some basic, universal techniques in personal finance. And so, if you can increase your knowledge, I think it's going to make your collecting much more enjoyable because you're going to have some overall plan that ties in to your overall money plan, your budget. And so when the transmission blows up in your car, you're not stressed out about it and have to cut back on your collecting for a few months to pay for it because you've got the cash stashed away in an emergency fund. So I think that's really an important thing that a lot of people overlook. So I would hope that you would consider building a plan for your money and collecting. If not, good luck dodging those punches that will eventually come your way because that's what happens. Life throws us curveballs, and so it's really about how we deal with them. So thank you to everybody who's been watching my content, subscribe to the channel, hitting the like button and commenting. I really do appreciate all those things, and I'd like to have your feedback on this video. Let me know. Do you have a plan? Do you have a plan for how you collect? Do you have a plan for your money? Do you see how things can impact one another, right? When the unexpected event comes up. Or do you discuss things with your spouse? How much money you can spend on collectibles. So I think it's a very interesting topic. So definitely want to hear your thoughts on it. And then, so yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks, and we will talk soon.